All right. We got the doors are open and people are filing in.
We love to see it.
Please find your seat. I had like I don't know how many airline flights I had last week. So I'm used to them. I'm used to them getting on the PA and telling everyone to find your seat so we can take off on time.
Yes, please introduce yourself in the chat. Let me know who you are. Let me know where you are. I am in Minneapolis today. This is a real background. Minneapolis is not all flat plains and horse-drawn buggies. There's some beautiful, beautiful city over here. Oh, we got a Shakopee in there. No way. Okay, Brenda from Shakopee. We got a Rochester in there.
You got them all over.
All over the place. But it's always fun when I see random little cities in Minnesota that some people have perhaps never heard of. Yay, I'm so excited.
All right, we'll give it one more minute and then we'll get started. Everyone, my name's Chris Heller. I'm the president of Movoto and Ojo. Hold on, I'm gonna change this background. I don't know purples. I'm feeling. I'm gonna go with green. All right. All right, we will I think we should kick it off. All right, so everyone, thanks for being here. Welcome to our monthly masterclass. As always, we do these for one reason, to bring you guys value. We appreciate the partnership. We appreciate being in business with you, and we want to deliver as much value as possible and things that can actually help you build your business, things that can help you do better in this industry that we are all part of. Today we have a really exciting guest, something that people in as a whole are very interested in. Giselle is an online performance coach, top motivational speaker. She's known for her all the things she does online with a huge online following, and has helped a lot of people improve their brand, improve their presence, improve what they do online, how to build their business. I'm underselling Giselle, but I'm kind of doing that on purpose. So, Giselle, thank you for being here.
I'm so, so, so grateful to be here. If you haven't yet, please introduce yourself to me inside of the chat. I'm really looking forward to this. And if you haven't, grab something to write with, because we're going to take notes. And even those of you that have all of your AI assistants taking notes, strongly encourage you to take your own notes and to be engaged in this conversation, because it's going to be a good one.
So, like everyone, I don't think anyone's not on social media. Everyone knows about social media. I think agents as a whole, when we talk to agents, talk to the industry, they understand the importance of their online presence. But I don't think their understanding goes too far beyond that. Like I don't know that they really understand the power of brand building or even the right strategy that they could be using to build their brand. So I'm wondering if you could just talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, and even let me know in the chat. Like, let's do a scale of 1 to 3. So 1 meaning you're on social media, but you're really not active. 2 meaning you are active, but you feel like it's not working at all. 3 meaning like you're posting all of the time. You totally get it. You're here for it. Would love to hear like where you're at with that, because here's the thing. We got a lot of 1s, a lot of 2s. There are a lot of you who it's important, but you feel like it's something that you have to do. And there are also a lot of you who you feel like you're doing it and you're just checking off the box. Like, okay, I posted today, or okay, my brokerage gave me this template, so I'm going to do that. Or okay, anytime I get a just listed or a just sold, I'm going to do that. But what I really want to change your mind over to, even if you see yourself as a 3, is this is one more platform to communicate. This is one more platform to meet people. And the key there is people. Because a lot of you also get really caught up in the likes and the views and the followers. You think of it as purely a numbers game. But where those are going to succeed in the future are the ones who understand this isn't a numbers game, although it's part of it, it is a people game. How are you connecting with more people? How are you working smarter and not harder? Because here's the thing, this isn't just about posting as much as possible. This is about actually connecting. And I want you to write that word down, connecting. Just how if you were at a networking event or you were out at a coffee shop, how are you actually connecting to and meeting with people? How am I getting to know you? And one of the biggest mistakes that you're making is either you're only posting real estate, or you're only posting about real estate, or you're only posting templates. And the person that you are and the people who you want to connect to are non-existent. So even, for example, I want you to do a little test right now, taking a look at your social media profiles. Would I be able to know what you look like? Give me a yes or no. Would I know what you look like if I was to go to your social media profile? And I'm going to add a little extra marker here.
And Giselle, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
assuming what you look like now versus maybe 10
thank
or
you.
20 years ago. Yeah.
Exactly. So for example, if your profile photo was taken before the pandemic, your answer is actually a no, not a yes. Or if you legitimately look exactly like that, please send me your skincare routine. I really want to know like what it is that you're taking where you have not aged 20 years like the rest of us in the last 4 or 5. And yes, don't worry, we're going to talk about the NAR settlement, Julie, but this is ultimately about communication and about having that human to human interaction that a lot of us are forgetting about. And so I want to know what you look like. I want to know what you sound like. A lot of these foundations of credibility where I know that there is a human back there with actual human values who actually knows my neighborhood, who actually understands what I'm going through financially, fearfully, in my family. And that way, when it comes to having more serious conversations, you already have that trust established. But a lot of you are only posting the houses, or a lot of you are only posting the templates, or a lot of you are only talking about real estate. Therefore, we don't actually know what's going on. Or maybe you're copying and pasting something from ChatGPT. So what I want even to have this foundation of the conversation to be about is, are you creating a relationship, keyword, relationship, with your audience so that when you talk about more serious matters, such as commission, such as what's happening in the headlines, such as what's happening with NAR, are you putting it into terms that they actually understand, or are you only focused on you and how it affects you? And that's what I want to jump into as we're even figuring out what this social media is. It's a method of communication. And it's a way for you to connect with people on a mass level, on a deeper scale, on a human level, without having to call every single person individually or even go knocking on every single door, and for people to get to know you and keep you top of mind beyond just this particular event.
I think, Giselle, you really, I think what you're getting at, and I've heard you talk about this before, is the concept of humanizing yourself. And with the headlines, with the things that are going on, people are more aware of who they choose and who they work with matters. And it's going to matter more in the future than it has in the past, right? In the past, if I was a buyer, the typical buyer, whether I met the agent at an open house, at my kid's soccer game, a neighbor, they referred to me, you know, for the most part, a lot of consumers view an agent's an agent, right? As long as the person isn't, repelling to me, I'm going to work with them. Now, when agents are talking to them and the press is telling them that about buyer broker agreements and buyer representation, and it's actually a real decision, a conscious decision they'll be making. How important are these things that you're talking about in our online presence and building trust and rapport before we even have an opportunity to have that interaction?
It's the most important. And let's dive into that a little bit. What's most important is for you to understand the connection happening between you and your audience. And I think a big mistake that a lot of you are making is that you think that your audience is just as versed in all of this as you are, or you're talking to them like a real estate agent. And so what you're going to find is, if you think we're only talking about social media, you're missing out. If you think that we're only talking about the NAR settlement, you're missing out. What I ultimately want you to do is to have more comfort even confronting your audience with difficult conversations and uncomfortable conversations. And social media is a great place for you to be able to practice talking about things in a concise way and in terms that your audience actually understands. What do I mean by that? Let's be really, really honest, friends. Most people do not know what NAR stands for or what NAR actually is. If you have no idea who I am, just so that we're all clear, I'm not a real estate agent. I'm an online performance coach and a high performance coach at that. It's my job to teach you how to communicate. I've never sold a house in my life, and the reality is neither have your clients. So for example, if I'm around real estate humans all day long and I can't understand what you were saying as someone who is well educated and who is also a real estate owner and investor myself, then chances are if I don't understand it, the average consumer or your average family doesn't understand it either. And transparently and candidly, I have no shame in even saying that, for example, for the longest time, I thought that NAR was the equivalent of the ACT, SAT standardized test board. I thought that that was who put on the real estate exams. I had no idea what they even signified or what they even meant. Most people have no idea what NAR is, what the MLS is. Some people don't even know what you're talking about when you're talking about inventory, for example, or when you're giving your market update. And so what I want to really bring you down to earth on, regardless of whether you want to talk about the settlement or not, is what you are saying making sense to the average consumer? Because the reality is the consumer has no idea what your commission was like before this court case, let alone after. They have no idea what NAR is. They have no idea who is on what side of this court case, unless you bring it up. What they do know is what the headlines are saying. And as you know, a lot of these headlines are extremely misleading. And so you need to not break down the court case into terms that they would understand, but you need to start delivering things, especially on social media, but even in your listing presentations, that would help your consumer, that would help that person who wants to buy a home with you or who wants to sell a home with you. Notice how, by the way, I didn't call them buyers and sellers. Okay. A lot of you, even when it comes to social media and even when it comes to your human interactions, you're using words like buyers and sellers. And that on its own sounds extremely impersonal. And the thing that's going to set you apart in the future, especially in a world of ChatGPT and Zillow and AI, and quite frankly, this place where a lot of people think that real estate agents are obsolete. The way that you set yourself apart is by showing your experience, showing your mistakes, showing the human that you are, showing the neighborhood that you love, but also showing your emotional connection and your own opinion, perspective, and differentiation from everything else and all of the noise and the distractions that are going on. And so when you say something like, Holly, I don't think that no matter what you do, people are not going to pay their agent from saving. Well, here's the thing. If you say that, yes, that will be true. If you show your actual value in a way that you actually care and will fight for your client, and also if you don't make the commission conversation awkward, or if you perhaps use social media to talk about all of the work that you put into your day to day, not in a way that is preaching, look at me, look at me, look at me, but instead look at how I can help you, then that will make all of the difference in the world, where someone won't even question your commission and you can continue to stand by that and with confidence.
Yeah, I think that's such a big part of it, the confidence, right? People do business with people that they like. People do business with people that they respect or they have confidence in. And all too often I see, and I think this is like the changes that are happening in our business. And by the way, if we look at all the consumers out there, the vast majority of consumers have no idea about this, right? They miss the headline. They, and if they saw the headline, they don't know what it means or anything else. So that's another thing we need to keep in mind, that most consumers aren't aware of the changes, and it's going to be beholden on us to educate them. And the best way to do that is when we have an opportunity to meet with them, face to face. But one of the ways it'll get us to meet with them face to face is, again, what we do online, what they're doing when they're checking us out when we do have a meeting, because they're gonna go Google us, they're gonna go look at us, they're gonna see what we're doing. and our confidence, our ability to communicate in a effectively becomes just critical, right? We've all had that experience of when we talk to someone who's not confident. You walk into a doctor's office and the doctor is not confident, you will leave that doctor's office. You will go to a second opinion. Um, so, that's when people aren't necessarily confident because maybe they aren't as experienced or aren't as skilled or haven't been in the business as long, what's the best way for them to start to build that confidence?
It's starting to create content around the questions that people are asking you or that they want them to ask you. So for example, if you're trying to figure out how do I handle some of what's happening around the NAR settlement, for example, start answering some of those questions online. But it doesn't just have to be answering the question of, oh, break down the NAR settlement for me. It could be something as simple as, here's how buyer's commission works. Here are all the different costs associated with buying a home or selling a home that people don't really talk about. Or it could be breaking down the costs associated with buying a home. How much more expensive is it going to be in 2024? Or how much money do you actually need to afford the home? And practice answering those questions. This is what a lot of people don't realize, is that when you practice creating online videos, it actually makes you more confident for being offline as well. And when you are also answering these questions in real life, use that as an indicator for, oh, I should probably create content around this. So friends, write this down. If you're getting a question from someone more than twice, then that either means you need to create internal training around that for your team, or you need to start creating content around it. If you're getting the same question over and over and over and over again, then that means you should probably create content around that, and not just once. It should be recurring, because no, I'm not going to go to your profile and dig down for 6 months to see, oh, you already made that video one time, let me go look. Sure, you could potentially use and save a little bit of time by copying and pasting a video that you previously did by saying, oh, I actually made a video about that. I can't talk on the phone right now, but here you go. That's a beautiful art on its own. But instead, if someone's asking you the same question over and over and over, think to yourself, oh, maybe I should make a video about this. Maybe I should post to LinkedIn 5 big points around this. And a lot of times we get into our heads and we think that we have to make the most advanced encyclopedia video, but I want you to think about it in this way instead. If you had a client who called you and said, hey, I'm at carpool pickup right now, I only have 60 seconds, but can you please answer this question really, really quickly? What would you say? That is your video, that right there. You don't have to give us a full book report. You don't have to go search the internet for all of the right answers. You just answer it in the way that you truly know and would answer that phone call, that if they want to learn more, you can talk about it in an extensive conversation later. But in that moment, what can you say and how will it affect me and right now? That is it. That is the key. And if you're like, but Giselle, I don't even know how I would answer this question, then that's not the question that we're going to play with. We're going to play with questions and we're going to play with content that you actually and truthfully know. What do you know? And inside and out, that is what is going to make you set yourself apart. And it's not just about scripts, although that can absolutely be part of it. But it is about your own experience, because what ends up happening sometimes is you might refer to the market update, or you might refer to all of the data and the statistics saying if it's good or bad to buy or sell right now. But friends, you yourself are in your own backyard. And so, for example, even taking into consideration, some of you think, oh, well, I'm supposed to put the market updates out. I'm supposed to put the market updates out. That's what I was told. Everyone's doing it. That's what's going to make me sound smart. That's what I subscribe to. Friends, the average person does not care about the market update. They don't even know what the market update is. The right people who are going to stand out are the ones who break down that market update into terms that people actually understand, because no, that template that says that, for example, year over year prices have gone down, or for example, that this many price reductions that have happened in the last month, and you just post that without anything else. I want you to write this word down: context. Context. And this is something that is so important in person and online, regardless of what the subject is. Context. Because Me as an average consumer, I see that there have been a certain amount of price reductions over the last month. I have no idea what that means. Does that mean that nobody wants to move to your neighborhood? Does that mean that all of the agents who are selling homes in that particular neighborhood have no idea how to properly price a home? Does that mean perhaps, like, what if there was a natural disaster? What if there was something awful that happened in that particular neighborhood? I would not know that from a 30,000-foot view, but you would know it from living in your own backyard. Or, for example, you know that, yeah, this has been on the market for a really long time, but people don't realize how much this neighborhood has changed. People have no idea that there's a new playground. People have no idea that there's a new water park. People have no idea that, oh my gosh, look at all of this land where you could do your cows and chickens and whatever it is. You know it better than anything else. And so I want to challenge you. If you're going to post about anything, especially when it comes to controversial topics, especially when it talks about, the settlement that's happening right now, if it's something that you could find out of ChatGPT, if it's something that Chris could post to his page or that I could post and no one would know who actually wrote it, you're not getting personal enough. You're not getting personal enough. How are you making it personal? How are you making it so that I can hear your voice? Because that script that you got from your brokerage, that's not personal enough. That might be a good starter. That might be a good shitty first draft, but I want to know what it means to you. And more importantly, what is it going to mean to me? Because that's where we're looking at right now. A lot of your confidence is based off of how this settlement affects you as an agent. But what we need to start creating content around and also having conversations around is not how it's affecting your business. How is this affecting the people who you want to work with? If you can educate them better than what they're seeing on some of the misleading fake news, let's be honest, then that's going to establish more trust because you gave me a perspective and an opinion and something that is factually and actually true in a way that the people out there would not understand. Does that make sense? Is this helpful in any way?
Yeah, Giselle, let's get a little more tactical. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be meeting a buyer or that either at a property, and I'm gonna be talking to them about my value proposition, or I have a listing appointment. And we know now that more than ever, consumers are gonna be more conscious about and more aware about who's representing them and who they agree to allow someone to represent them. I know really good agents and teams are using video a lot. We have teams on our platform and agents on our platform. As soon as they hang up with the customer, they send them a video, text them a video, say, hey, this is Chris. I'm the one you were just talking to. I just want to put a face with a name. Super excited to meet you at the property tomorrow too. Like, if I want to incorporate that into my, before I meet with this buyer, where I'm going to be meeting with them, discussing my value proposition and presenting them with a buyer rep agreement. How would I use that video? Would I use that video? And how would I want to come across, or what would I want to say?
Absolutely. So the point that you just brought up that I think everyone should be writing down, how are you putting a face to your name as quickly as possible? And how are you making yourself stand out? Okay, let me say that again. How are you putting a face and a voice, I'll add that to it, a face and a voice to your name as quickly as possible? And how are you getting yourself to stand out? So there's a few different branches of this, Chris, that I think are important. One is your owned media, your owned real estate. So for example, what currently is out there on the internet where if I was typing in your name, if I was Googling you, what would I see? So that's before your person has even reached out. And I think this is really important to understand is that the average person who is researching, they're in creep mode, they don't want to follow you. They don't want to leave comments. They don't want to send you a DM. They're still in research mode. So where you're getting caught up in the views and the followers, the reality is that the person who is doing their research, they probably won't even follow you until the transaction is case closed. And that doesn't mean that they're not there. Who's ever been there where you're actively researching someone and you're trying so hard not to accidentally double tap something to leave any evidence that you were there? That doesn't mean that they're not creeping and that they're not looking. So that's one way that you can put your face and your voice to your name and start standing out. And we'll go back there in a moment. Then there is the once they finally do reach out. How am I making sure that they know who I am? How am I making sure that they know that I'm ready? So it could be after the first phone call or potentially before the first phone call. where you send them a video inside of their DM, maybe in their text message, or maybe you even have what I've seen brilliantly done recently by one of my clients is he has a Calendly set up. And when you hit, submit, put your appointment into the calendar, you automatically get an email that just says, hey, this is an automated message. So he's totally owning it, right? He's not trying to pretend anything. This is an automated message. I just wanted to let you know that, this is me. I'm putting a face to my name. I'm really looking forward to having our introductory meeting next week. Here's what you're going to need, which I'm pretty sure he says nothing. But if you have anything that you think that I should know, here's where you can send it. Also, my assistant, Kat, she's going to be sending you a form. And so what you're doing here, and this is key, write this phrase down. You're telling your person exactly what they can expect. Exactly what they can expect. They want to know how they're getting taken care of. So all of a sudden, this guy looks like he has his ish together, even though as this is all happening, he's probably on like dad duty, running around, going from house to house, like all the things. But at the very least, he's creating this calmness and he is leading the control of the narrative. And he's setting it from the jump that I am controlling this narrative. I am the person who is taking care of you, and this is exactly how. But then we get to the actual conversations. And here are some things that I believe you can use before, during, and after, which is I really want you to go through your presentation, your spiel, your typical questions that you ask your people. You might even own the conversation of, have you been reading the headlines? I have my thoughts, but I want to hear yours, friends. I have my thoughts, but I want to hear yours. So that before you come in defense mode, hear what they know. They might say, I have no idea. And you came in there guns a-blazing and maybe they actually had no idea. But I want you to go through and I really want you to dissect every single thing that you say, okay? Because here's a perfect example. My parents right now, we're trying to get help with a rental property. And they wanted to do everything themselves. And I said, well, hang on a second. I have this whole network of awesome real estate humans. Let me reach out to a few and see what I find. And so I physically called these people and I asked them, what is it that you would do differently from, say, what I could do myself? And I'm going to be honest with you, friends. I called 3 people and not one person convinced me that I couldn't do this myself. And that's really important because I know that you bring value. I know that you do because I coach so many of you. And because in my transactions, I've always used one of you. But there was nothing wrong with the agent. It was more so in their communication. There were a couple of things that I heard. For example, well, we would put the listing on all of the different websites that we have access to. What websites? What websites are you talking about? What websites do you have access to that I don't? Or, well, we have an incredible database. What does that mean? That you have a lot of friends? I have a lot of friends. What does your database look like? Or it might have been, we'll take some really awesome pictures. What does taking awesome pictures mean? Does that mean that you're on your iPhone? I have one of those. What is it about your pictures that would be different from mine? Or maybe it's that we get in there and have someone film some great video. What does that mean? What filming video, what does that mean? Does that mean that you have a drone photographer coming in? Does that mean that you have someone coming in and filming all of the rooms? Does that mean that you yourself are going to give a tour and we're going to see it on video and people are going to see you talking about this particular home? Which, by the way, anytime that you do a listing presentation on video or a house tour, please know that that is actually your listing presentation for the next home that you want to represent. That's actually your audition. Because if I'm looking online and I'm looking for you and I'm trying to find videos of you and I can see how you're giving a tour, that's actually making me go, I wonder if they would get that excited, or, oh my God, they don't look excited to be there at all. I definitely do not want them to be representing me in any area of this transaction. Does that mean that you're going to be filming some lifestyle content around my particular home, where you're also talking about the city and neighborhoods or what it takes to buy or sell these days? And my home is going to be the backdrop, and it's actually going to show up multiple times on your social media, which, by the way, social media, what does that even mean? Are you going to be on LinkedIn? Are you going to be on Instagram? Are you going to be on Facebook? Is it going to be purely organic? Are you going to be doing reels? Are you going to be running ads? Are you going to be buying articles? Are you going to be putting it in stories? Are you going an open house? What does that mean? Don't you just have a sign outside of the house? What does an open house mean? Does that mean you're going to have a taco stand? Does that mean that you're going to invite everyone from your brokerage? How many people is that? All of these little details that for us, we've gotten so used to, or perhaps honestly lazy in terms of how we communicate what it is that we do, that quite frankly, people don't recognize what it is that we do. And when we have the competition of all of these reality shows that make it look so easy, you need to show that you are different. And the way that you stand out is by showing up in a way that is authentic, that is authentic. Every single person in here, you got into real estate for a different reason. The things that you love about your job are different from the next. The ideal client that you have in your head is different from the next person. Some of you might love to work with first-time home buyers and it makes your heart sing. Some of you, you're like, you could not pay me to work with another first-time home buyer. I never want to do that again. Some of you are on your way out of production. Some of you never want to leave production. Some of you specialize in oceanfront property. Some of you, it might be land. And so the way that you get yourselves to stand out is making your content feel unique to you, to where I, without question, without doubt, know what it is that you do and who it is that you want to serve. And that's also going to frame each of these conversations, whether they're easy ones or hard ones, to be able to talk to these people in terms that you'd understand. And ideally, what this face to name thing is doing is allowing for you to have conversations before you even meet someone. Write that one down. How can you have a conversation? How can you answer a question? How can you create trust before you even meet someone? So then that way, when someone chooses you, they go, no, I already know that I want to work with you. I've had my eye on you for a while. I've known for a good minute that you're the person who I want to work with. I love how you break down these terms into words that I actually understand, and you make this feel approachable and that it would make sense for my family. That is ultimately what social media is doing. It's creating that relationship and allowing for you to have and practice these conversations before and especially during you're having them in person. Is that making sense, friends? Am I making sense?
Making sense. I think one of the things I hear you saying is connecting the dots, right? If I'm in a buyer consultation, I'm saying, well, here's the things I do. If I don't connect it to what that means to them, or how that benefits them, or what it really means, like we know what it means, right? We say, oh, we do this, this, and this. Yes, like we put all your property on all the websites. Well, here's why that's important. Here's what that does for you. Like we have to really connect the dots, and we have to up our communication game a lot, which is what you're highlighting.
1000%. It is that communication piece over and over and over again. And I think that a lot of people who don't see these conversations as important, or let's be honest, there are some of you who you're in this place of feeling really scared. We saw earlier in the chat someone saying, I don't feel like anyone's ever going to want to pay. You know, at this point, you feel like people's minds are already made up. And yeah, before this even happened, let's be honest, a lot of the statistics show that there are people who do not have a trust for this industry. So that's all the more reason for you to be the one that's different. That's all the more reason for you to start showing up in a way where someone goes, oh, I had this idea in my head of who you are and what you do. And all of a sudden I realized it's not that at all. You're not that at all. And so I even want you to think about, what are 5 reasons why someone enjoys working with me? What are 5 reasons that people love working and specifically with me? Because sure, there might be someone who is higher ranked than you are, who is bringing in more money than you are, but there are always ways that you can spin that. But it's really ultimately you having to own your confidence and believing, if you believe that you deserve to be here. Because if you don't, then great, you can walk away and leave more business for everybody else. But I know, based on working with so many of you, that you are so passionate. And I see you get angry when you see the headlines, or I see you get mad when that person who you see as competition takes the client that you wanted so badly, and you know that they're not going to take care of them in the way that you can. And so really what you're doing by avoiding social media, or by avoiding these conversations, or by continuing to sit in your insecurity and letting it fester over and over and over, is you're allowing for those people to get taken advantage of, where you could very well be taking care of those people. And I want to bring that light back, because here's the thing too: if you are sad, or if you are scared, or if you are already thinking that the transaction is gone before you even walk through the door, then that will be a self-fulfilling prophecy for you. Versus if you walk into that meeting, or if you walk on that video fully owning your presence and the things that make you unique. Maybe you are super awkward and introverted and shy. Great. That is exactly why someone would want to work with you over perhaps me, who I'm a little louder and more flamboyant and pink. Great. We take things really, really personally, when really it's about finding the right fit and finding the right person who's going to connect with us in a communication style that makes the most sense. So what do your people need to hear? Write that question down. What do your people need to hear? What do they need to hear from you?
The,
And
I'm
what
sorry.
kind of
Go ahead.
reassurance do they need? Go ahead.
No, finish the thought. I thought you were, I thought the,
I was starting to look into the chat to see what was going on.
oh,
Uh,
yeah, Jolene
there.
brought up an interesting point, and um, that, online leads, all they care about is wanting to see the home. When they contact us, when they're on our site, movoto.com,
Yeah.
and depends on the call to action they click on, but let's say tour a home is the call to action. They fill out a form, they're gonna go tour this home. We connect them with an agent. The vast majority of those people, as soon as we connect them with you, are looking you up. We know because we get contacted by them and say, hey, the agent you connected me to, I don't think is the right agent, because I looked them up and they're in this city and I want to be looking over here. And we have to say, well, no, they actually, that's where their office is, but they cover this area, or that's where they live, and but they work here. Trust me, they are checking you out, and they will, especially before a meeting. Um,
Mhm.
the point that you made that I think is so critical, because I see this, and this is why the skilled agents, the experienced agents are actually excited about the changes, right? They know
Yeah.
they're going to be able to negotiate regardless of the circumstances, whether the buyer has any money to pay for fees, or whether the seller is offering fees. They know they have a chance to negotiate on every one of those deals, and that most sellers, when they want to sell their home, are going to be willing to compensate or offer concessions, and that they're going to be able to get their client the house and still get paid. Uh, but they also know that if they don't have those skills, that practicing their buyer consultation, being very crystal clear on their value proposition, and being able to communicate in a way that instills confidence is half the battle. And that's where I think agents that are concerned are probably going, okay, well, how is this going to happen? Like, they can't even see how it's going to happen because they just aren't there yet mentally.
Yeah, and that too is something that is a constant practice. It is a constant practice. And I'm even looking, for example, in the chat right now, Angelo said some buyers do not have the funds to pay for it. Okay, well, let's go in two routes here. Of let's just say that now all of a sudden, because of interest rates, because of whatever, that all of a sudden there's more costs associated, or whatever it is. Again, doesn't have to be this specific. So you could potentially then create content that creates trust by saying, you know what, maybe this isn't the path for you right now. Maybe you should wait. Maybe you should wait. Or maybe you should start looking over here at something else, and I can help you with that. Or you as a business person can go, okay, well then who can? Who can? Or where do I need to change my focus to figure out how I can still make sure that I'm getting revenue in, but maintaining my integrity? But I do think that it's really important in any uncomfortable conversation, regardless of whether it has to do with the settlement or fees or whatever. You being able to walk away with integrity from a situation of, you know what, maybe it's not the best time to buy in a certain area right now, and here's why. Or maybe you should wait it out, and here's why. Or maybe you should save a little extra money than you think, and here's why. Or I know that that's your budget, but it should actually be this, and here's why. Here's why. Tell them what to do and become an educational resource. If you are having imposter syndrome because you don't feel like you are an expert or a leader in the field, then write this phrase down. How can I be a valuable educational resource? How can I help them to understand it so that if they are not ready now, I can still be of help to them and they will come to me when it's ready? Because the way that your industry works is if you do everything right, friends, if you do everything right, you might not work with your client again for years, maybe even decades. So how can you continue to remain valuable to them so that you continue to be on their radar at top of mind so that maybe they're not ready or maybe they're already at home sweet home, but they might then send a friend your way or a parent your way or a child your way. And how are you doing that? Showing that you know their lifestyle. Because how many of you have been told you're not selling real estate, you're selling a lifestyle? But if you don't have a life, if I can't see the different ways that you're connected in my neighborhood, whether it's through the schools or your kids or the condos or the associations or the charities or the nonprofits or the hobbies or the interests, then no, I'm not going to be thinking of you after this transaction is done, because I want to know and see that you actually understand who I am as a person or as a mom or as a caretaker or as an empty nester. How are you showing that we could actually connect beyond just transaction? What do we have in common? And if you're not the right person, then who is? Or if you are the right person, who are more people that you can connect me to?
Yeah, Hey, Giselle, so I just want to take this down even more granular. If someone is saying, okay, all right, yes, I've been posting my just listed or my just sold, or I've been both posting market stats, or I've been doing this, but now I really want to start to build my brand. I want to start to establish credibility. I want to start to differentiate myself. Give us some like basic tips on, hey, here's some things you should post and where and when.
Yes, absolutely. So the thing that I always start with is, what are you excited about? What in your life gets you excited? What are the things in your life that all of a sudden make you beam for joy? Is it Taylor Swift? Is it cooking? Is it your kids' soccer team? Is it your kids in general? Because right now, what we're seeing in this dark and twisty world is a lot of the same things over and over and over and over again. And I've already spent 40 or so minutes talking about the types of real estate and home and valuable content, but now I do want to focus on that personal brand piece. Who is it that you are? Who is it that you are as a person? And in a world where we are all scrolling to numb or scrolling because we are numb, people want to feel something. People want to feel emotion. People want to feel excitement. People want to know that that is a human on the other side of the screen and not just an avatar. And so I want you to just think, like, even today, I know it's Monday and it feels like the Mondayest of Mondays in Minneapolis, like all the white. And the reason why this is so shiny is because there's a lot of clouds back there. And now I just kind of like ruined whatever is happening back there. But what are you most excited about? If you're excited about something, that's contagious. That will get me excited, even if I don't understand it at all. So is it your dogs? Is it your husband? Is it your morning walk? Is it the fact that, you know, the peonies are blossoming? Who else is obsessed with, it's my favorite flower? What are the things that you are so excited about? Is it potentially that, yes, you had an awesome client win or you welcomed a new team member? But whenever you get really excited, or even maybe angry about something, I want you to think about, how could I post this in a way that brings other people into my world? It's not look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, but instead, how can I show you into my world? How can we create connectors to one another, to where because we have something in common, you go, oh, that's my person. Or, oh, I totally love matcha instead of coffee in the morning. Or someone earlier said that they too drink out of a mason jar. And so what are some of the ways that you are giving people permission to connect with you? Because here's the thing. There's personal and there's private. Write that down. There's personal and there's private. Private is whatever you want it to be. You don't want to show your kids, great, don't show your kids. But that doesn't mean that on a personal level, you can talk about being a mom. That's how you connect to people. Personal is how you connect to people. But ultimately, you get to decide which is which. If there are certain things that you never want to show or share, don't. But how can you show people the person that you are? So reminding them that, yes, you are a person. So just as a little exercise, what's one thing that you're really excited about in your life right now, no matter how simple or stupid? For me, for example, I'm really excited about the sleep score that I have been getting on my Aura Ring. My bedtime routine, it is solid. Or yes, I got new mason jars in my new place here in Minneapolis. I'm finally home and near my parents. And so those are ways that you can get people to connect with you that are very low cost per entry. So for example, I kid you not, in the last 2 weeks, I have had people say that, yes, that's great that you're a coach, but ultimately the reason why I chose you was because fill in the blank. I'm curious to know this for you, but for me, in one situation, it was, I ended up going with you because you're a Vikings fan. And for those of you going, oh, I'm so sorry. Exactly. That's the point with this particular person, because I knew you would be my kind of loyal. Okay. I had two people in the last couple of weeks. One is a girl dad and the other one is a girl mom. And they said that I knew you were our people when I saw your Taylor Swift content. I chose you because you're a Swiftie. Has nothing to do with what it is that I do, but it was something that stood out where they said, oh, you are my kind of kind, or you are my kind of weird. Now, even for example, if you are having someone who they are super data driven, you're working with investors, they're working with numbers, great. What are the things that you get excited about? Maybe it is a kind of soil, maybe it is a kind of finish or paint. You are my kind of detail oriented. You are my kind of nerdy. The things that get you excited are going to be different from what gets me excited. But if I have no dots to connect, then I can't connect with you. And when you're also thinking about, where do I meet people organically in real life? Where are you meeting people? Is it at church? Is it at the gym? Is it from high school? Is it from training for a triathlon? Those are also things that by sharing them on social media, you're showing that you have them in common without even necessarily having to meet in real life. And so how are you showing people so that you can then pull them in?
All right. And so Giselle, this is great. And I think these are really good reminders, right? We're in our business. We use jargon a lot. We talk about things we know, and we often forget that the consumer may not know any of this or knows a small fraction of it, or they don't remember because last time they sold a house was 15 years ago, or the last time they bought a house was 15 years ago. And anyone on here, any questions you guys have, this is your opportunity. So put them in chat, or put them in the Q&A, use the Q&A button, but we want to make sure
Can I grab a couple? Do you mind, Chris?
Not at all.
Okay, so there was one, Denise said, I post 80% of my life and 20% real estate. You don't want them to drown in your house information and they block you. So here's the thing, friends. In case you haven't noticed, your feeds, like what you see when you sign in, doesn't matter if it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok especially, it's because of TikTok. Your feeds are no longer chronological. What does that mean? You're no longer seeing posts in the order that they were posted. What does that mean? Well, we used to think that those who posted the most would get rewarded the most. But the reality is that now every single feed is powered by something called recommendation. Write that word down. What does that mean? That means that you are being fed content. Doesn't matter if you follow this person or not, but based off of what you yourself are consuming and seeing. What does that mean for Denise? That means that if you are in someone's feed, it's because they want to see you. If they want to see you. Whether they know you or not, they want to see you. So you will not get annoying. And actually, in some situations, if you're posting about house content, but that's not necessarily relevant to your followers, then they might not see it. However, somebody else who's looking at house content and locally where you are, they might. This is really, really important, you guys. If you took nothing else, and this is a little separate off on a branch of our conversation, but for the first time ever, we can get in front of people who have no idea who we are in a very hyper targeted way without having to pay for ads. And it's simply by posting organically to our feeds. So you can now get away with posting 2 or 3 times a week if you want, because now I might see posts in my feed that are 6 hours old or 6 months old, or even over a year old, as long as it's relevant to what I'm currently consuming. So if, for example, somebody's looking for a real estate agent in a certain area, then that is one more way that they might get fed your content, and you didn't put any money behind it. In fact, now actually, if you put money behind something that isn't performing well, it's probably money in the trash. So you should only be putting money behind something if it is actually performing well and through the ads manager, not through boosting. And that's for posts. Stories, people are leaving evidence behind if they were there. Most people are going to be looking at your posts. There was another one here that I saw and I scrolled past. Oh, someone said, what is the most overused cliche realtor post that you were tired of seeing other than in personal content? The only thing I'm tired of seeing is when you can very clearly tell that that's not that person. When I feel like the soul has left your body, when I feel like you are reading somebody else's script, when I feel like you are setting up somebody else's setup, when I've lost the you in it, that's what I get tired of seeing. And then the other thing that I get tired of seeing is real estate agents who post for other real estate agents. And this one's also important because there's a nuance here. To some extent, you should be posting for other real estate agents, because what's really awesome about your industry is that you can have this incredible referral ecosystem. And so it's possible that I might never meet you, but I love following you online, so I might send you a referral. However, what I don't like is when you have a lot of people who are posting as if they are, for example, the broke agent account, which is an account that is meant for real estate agents, not consumers. And so you can talk smack about each other and your industry and your consumers, but you should not be talking smack about your clients on your own platform. You should really be thinking about your clients and your referral partners top of mind. And that's also where what I get sick of is when it's all you versus about who are you wanting to connect with. So a little trick that I often share with people is I don't want you to start a video or a caption or a sentence without the word you somewhere in that first caption or sentence. So for example, if you are thinking about purchasing a home, or if you are someone who is obsessed with football, or if you have ever thought about putting orange juice in your coffee, it's making it so that it feels like a conversation rather than a presentation. And that's also something that for us can unlock a part of our brain that reminds us, oh, wait, there's a human on the other side of the screen. I'm not just talking to a piece of plastic. And that can also make all of the difference. I want to show you this beautiful home that I just found in Minneapolis. I really want to take you on this exciting adventure toward, all over Montana. How are you incorporating it and making it about more than the you and about the you that is your audience? I hope that was helpful.
It was. There's two questions at the end there that I think are good questions. One from Kim, one from Evelyn.
Yes, absolutely. So Kim says stories or posts or both, which are better. It's not that they're better, it's that they serve different purposes. Stories are only shown to your followers. Granted, anyone in public could totally tap on your stories and watch, but chances are they're not going to, because then they would be leaving evidence behind. It's the only place where you can see who's watched your stories. And so stories are, think about it this way, stories are for people who they are choosing and consenting to watch your content. They know who you are, they follow you. Posts are out there for the whole world to see. And so I like to say that think of stories like a conversation, and think of your feed almost like a voicemail. And that's just like a little way of thinking about it. Evelyn says, but if I'm posting about flowers, how does that come across to people who are looking to buy or sell? Or for example, when a buyer looks me up and sees flowers, how do they connect with my ability to sell a home or represent them? If you're only posting about flowers, Evelyn, then yes, I would go, I'm confused. Do you do real estate or not? But if flowers are just a piece of it, or for example, if you are a gardener and you're so excited about what you have in your gardener, then for example, a client who for them, a garden is really important, or for them, lawn care is important, or they don't want to have to think about it, you are now boosting your credibility to go, oh yeah, I can help you with that. I have a massive garden at my house and I can totally set you up with, this person and this person and this person. Oh, you don't want to touch it? All good. I'm an expert there. And all of a sudden you're finding something in common. Or it might be, oh my gosh, you grow peonies. Those are my favorite flower. Those are just a connector. So I don't want you to become the flower expert where all I see is flowers, but I want you to think of your feed like a portfolio. And I don't mean your portfolio of homes. I mean the portfolio that is you. So on there, I should see the people who are important to you. I should see what it is that you do for work and in different capacities. I should see some education. I should see some things that you love and love to do so that way I go, oh, okay, so this is a real person who is irreplaceable versus just homes or something that looks like a coupon where I go, is that even a person? I definitely do not want to follow them because what value would they bring? And value can come in the form of a lesson or a laugh. And that would be how you connect. Does that make sense, Evelyn?
I think that's great. I think in a world where people are going to be more conscious of who they do business with and more aware of who they do business with, the more they feel like they might know you, will only help you when it comes to that face-to-face meeting. So everyone, first of all, thanks for taking the time out of your days to be here. Giselle, thank you. And people are going to probably have to watch this again because there was so much good information. And next month, for those of you that join us each month, next month we'll have Tom Ferry. So make sure you're back for that. Giselle, thank you so much. If anyone wants to get a hold of you or they have questions, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yes, I put my Instagram inside of the chat. And what I love to say is the best way that you can, show what you've learned is show your receipts. And by that, I don't mean go buy my programs if you want to, great, but I want to see your receipts of implementation. What did you take from this conversation and how did you implement it? Or maybe you're sending me a video in my DMs saying hi, and you're putting a face to your name for the very first time, or you're getting your reps in through that, or you're now taking your lead and you are sending them the video and it's a screenshot, send it to Chris, send it to me so that we can see the ways that you are implementing this and standing out in your own way. And most importantly, making it your own, not just doing it because we told you, not just doing it because everybody else is, but you're doing it because it feels good and you're making it your own. And that is what's so important.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you everyone for being here. Have a productive week.
Bye.